the season's midpoint, the Denver Broncos are the surprise team of the AFC West. Surprising because they are tied for first with the second-to-last ranked offense in the league. But they improved their status in that department last Sunday. Taking advantage of Buffalo turnovers, Denver quarterback John Elway responded with 2 touchdown passes, one short to tight end Clarence Kay, and one long, 52 yards, to wide receiver Steve Watson. A bruised shoulder knocked Elway out of the game, but the Broncos suffered no measurable loss of point production behind backup Gary Kubiak, number 8, who threw for 1 touchdown and ran for another as the Broncos build a 37-0 lead. The Denver defense had a shot at their second shutout of the season until Buffalo quarterback Matt Kofler teamed with Mitchell Brookins, number 81. Despite the 70-yard scoring play, the Bills' comeback fell short by 30 points, 37-7. Another victim of an AFC West team was Forrest Gregg's Green Bay Packers, who become a surprise team in their own right by dropping 6 straight. After their worst start in 9 years, the Pack looked to turn it around against the Seahawks on their first play from scrimmage. James Lofton's 79-yard touchdown was his first of 2 first-period scores. But with virtually no running game to balance the Green Bay attack, quarterback Lynn Dickey became a sitting duck for the hungry Seattle pass rush. League leaders in sacks, the Seahawks dumped Dickey 6 times. Seattle provided their quarterback with somewhat better protection, and David Craig notched 2 touchdown passes, including a 25-yarder to Darrell Turner, number 81. The 30-24 win upped the Hawks to 6-2, while Green Bay endured their 7th straight defeat. While both Denver and Seattle were winners outside their division, Dan Fouts and the Chargers have yet to win within the AFC West. It didn't get easier against the arch-rival Raiders, who they haven't beaten since 1981. But San Diego made a run at them from the opening gun. Indeed, an improved running game has helped balance the pass-happy Chargers, and the man most responsible is Ernest Jackson, number 41. Jackson's second of 2 first-half touchdowns and a Dan Fouts to Wes Chandler touchdown toss helped earn the Chargers a 20-7 lead. The sudden impact of the Raiders' secondary was especially tough on Chandler, who caught just 1 ball all day. Then the Raider offense got tough behind quarterback Mark Wilson and reeled off 27 unanswered points. Dokie Williams' third-quarter touchdown put him belly up in the end zone as the Raiders bore down on a Chargers secondary that was minus 3 starters. Mark Wilson threw for 332 yards with the help of Malcolm Barnwell, number 80, who chose to avoid traffic rather than fight. Barnwell's 51-yard score helped the Raiders stretch their lead to 41-23. No stranger to come from behind exploits, Dan Fouts quickly made up ground with an assist from tight end Kellen Winslow. Winslow turned in the catch of the day, then hauled in another Fouts pass for a touchdown to bring San Diego to within 10 points. It would be Winslow's final score of the year. Minutes later, he left the game with torn knee ligaments. Following a Raider field goal, San Diego struck again with a 50-yard touchdown by Bobby Duckworth, number 82. While Dan Fouts threw for over 400 yards, his total was tarnished by 3 interceptions, the third of which sealed the Chargers' fate. With 44 seconds left, Raider cornerback Ted Watts stepped in front of a final Fouts pass, and the Raiders were winners 44-37, and tied with Denver at the top of the AFC West. By mid-season, it starts to become obvious which teams are the contenders and which teams are just clowning around. After 8 weeks, teams can be easily categorized. Some clubs are rolling along and riding high atop their division. Some are frantically chasing a playoff berth, while still others are simply in a sad state of disrepair. In the Metrodome Sunday, neither the Vikings nor Lions played in a manner which in any way resembled mid-season form. In a way, both teams were losers. Detroit lost Billy Sims with a knee sprain, and the Vikes lost their quarterback when Mike Kofer separated Tommy Kramer's shoulder. In the end, an Eddie Murray field goal with 49 seconds left gave Detroit a come-from-behind 16-14 win. Both the Vikings and Lions fall into the category of teams frantically chasing a playoff berth, and both have a great deal of chasing to do if they plan on catching the division-leading Bears. It's only the halfway point, but it's highly unlikely that wild card spots will be filled by anyone in the NFC Central. The Miami Dolphins, however, fall into the category of a team riding high atop their division. After only 8 games, Dan Marino broke Bob Griese's team mark of 22 touchdown passes in a season when he tossed his 24th against the Patriots. He throws touchdown passes like a fat lady eats bonbons, by the handful, with each one sweeter than the one before. Number 13 got Miami on the board on 7 of its 9 possessions. But for a while, Tony Eason had Patriot fans saying, "It ain't over till the fat lady sings." A feathered toss to Clarence Weathers and a 76-yard bomb to Stanley Morgan had New England matching their division-leading rivals score for score. Like two young heavyweight contenders, Dan and Tony dueled throughout the day, with Marino firing 4 touchdowns and Eason answering with 3 of his own. Before this one ended, 960 yards of total offense were amassed and 9 touchdowns were total. Unfortunately for the Patriots, the fat lady finally grabbed the microphone as the Dolphins came on strong to win, 44-24. Mark Gastineau sacks quarterbacks like audiences clap during the presidential debates, rudely and often. Barbara Walters and Edwin Newman thought the applause uncalled for throughout the debates, but the Chiefs' Bill Kenny found Gastineau's rebuttal even more annoying. After the debates were over, both sides claimed victory. There was a clear-cut winner in this one, however, for when tackle Tom Baldwin jarred the ball loose from Kenny, this issue turned in favor of the opportunistic Gastineau and his Green Party. Sam Donaldson would have surely favored the Green Party, for they were unpredictable, brash, and bold, showing weakness in their opponent's defense strategy. Throughout the broadcast, the Red Party resorted to blitzing tactics, but each time the Green candidate was prepared and scored some important points of his own. When the debate had ended, the networks polled the nation, and this one was a Green Party landslide. Jets 28, Chiefs 7. It's now the halfway point, and you can bet these Sunday debates are bound to heat up. Since coming to Indianapolis, the Colts have enjoyed a honeymoon relationship with their new fans. And last Sunday, this love affair was further fueled by the presence of Indiana's favorite son, Mark Herman, at starting quarterback. Unfortunately, the only warm embraces Herman felt all day came from the clutching arms of the Steelers, who for 3 quarters were playing like the Pittsburgh powerhouses of old, dominating on defense, daring on offense. With rookie wide receiver Louis Lips evoking fond memories of Lynn Swann, the Steelers took a 13-0 lead into the 4th quarter. But the present caught up with Pittsburgh, and some wide seams were showing in this modern-day steel curtain when Alvin Moore scored from 8 yards out. It appeared, though, that Pittsburgh would hold on, for with 43 seconds remaining, the Colts were still down by 6 and in need of a wing and a prayer. But Mike Pagel, in for a bruised Mark Herman, was ready to do the winging, and it was obvious that wide receiver Ray Butler was doing a whole lot of praying. Butler's 54-yard catch and carry gave Indianapolis a stunning 17-16 victory, and for his efforts, Butler earned an affectionate greeting in the end zone. A second look, though, at this surprising finish reveals that this play was not merely a lucky combination of a Hail Mary pass and immaculate reception. Pagel showed the kind of second effort and determination any quarterback needs in such a desperate situation. And while Steeler cornerback Sam Washington's fumbling fingers represented good fortune for the Colts, Butler was positioned right where he should have been, near the football. The result was a rousing comeback win that literally brought the house and his teammates down on him. While Raymond Butler's catch was tightening the bands of a happy marriage between Indianapolis and the Colts, the close ties that once bound together Cleveland head coach Sam Rutigliano and Browns owner Art Modell were sadly coming apart in Cincinnati. The Browns failed to score a touchdown in their 12-9 loss to the Bengals, and it was no doubt the continuing saga of Paul McDonald's non-protection that symbolically led to Sam's own sacking. But for the popular Cleveland coach, there was one happy historical footnote in his final game at the helm. It came in the waning seconds of the first half when Steve Cox booted a 60-yard field goal, the second longest in NFL history. This Bengals-Browns battle was a far cry from the Bears-Bucks game, where there was more offensive excitement of this one flea-flicker play than in 4 quarters of futility at Cincinnati. The Bears got a jump on the Bucks and never looked back as quarterback Jim McMahon flashed a throwing hand that was as hot as the bright South Florida sun. McMahon hit on 3 touchdown passes, including this 49-yarder to Brad Anderson, as the Bears bombed the Bucks 44-9. So far this season, the Oilers have been severely testing the romantic association they have always had with their fans. Last Sunday, though, they failed once more, as it was the team from the Bayside city of streetcars with players like number 26, Wendell Tyler, who were displaying plenty of desire under the Astrodome. Tyler's 26-yard touchdown put the 49ers up 17-7 at the half. But while Houston appears to be a long way from breaking their losing habit, they have at least been making it a custom to show some fight. Warren Moon hit on 25 of 33 passes for 356 yards, including this 45-yard scoring strike to Tim Smith. But he picked the wrong time to enjoy his best day in the NFL, because in the end, Houston was no match for Joe Montana and Dwight Clark. This 80-yard touchdown pass was the longest in both Clark and Montana's careers, and it easily sealed San Francisco's 34-21 victory. As for Houston and their fans, well, even with the Oilers facing the prospect of a winless season, there is still something of an attachment. Only this is one uneasy union that appears to have all the passion of a shotgun wedding. Last Sunday in Philadelphia, the New York Giants had hoped to keep a steady eye on the revitalized Eagles, who were looking for their first three-game winning streak under head coach Marion Campbell. The Giants' attempt to keep the Philadelphia offense in focus was blurred once quarterback Ron Jaworski went to work. Top draft pick Kenny Jackson, number 81, ignited his Jets and raced 83 yards for his first NFL touchdown to put the Birds on top 7-0. The rookie's debut in the end zone was later marred when he suffered a shoulder separation. Luckily, the Eagles have a wealth of receiving talent, including number 83, Tony Woodruff. Woodruff, who had been waiting in the wings, got the chance to shine in the limelight and brought down the house with his 37-yard touchdown reception. The Eagles' third touchdown sealed an eye-opening 24-10 victory and tied them with the Giants for second place in the NFC East. A more decisive divisional battle took place in Bush Memorial Stadium, where St. Louis quarterback Neil Lomax always has a receiver within speaking or striking distance. Severing the Lomax-Roy Green connection is as frustrating to opposing defenders as selecting a long-distance service is to AT&T customers. But the Washington Redskins managed to ring a few bells themselves while keeping the Cardinals on hold 21-10 in the third quarter. St. Louis mounted their comeback on the strength of Neil Lomax's signature bomb to the explosive Green, good for 83 yards. The Cardinals can always place an emergency call to Lomax and Green, but all they could get was static from kicker Neil O'Donohue, who missed 2 field goals and 1 extra point. But with 5 seconds remaining and the Cardinals down by 1, O'Donohue redeemed himself with a 21-yard boot. The 26-24 win gave St. Louis a share of the NFC East lead and snapped a 5-game Redskin winning streak. Neil Lomax is establishing his own streak, having tossed a touchdown pass in 16 straight games, while continuing to show opponents that the Cardinals won't ever throw in the towel. St. Louis is off to its best start since 1977, but the Dallas Cowboys are off to their worst in a decade. And Dallas's bad start showed no signs of stopping when the Cowboys faced the New Orleans Saints at Texas Stadium. The Saints struck quickly, opening fire with Tyrone Young's 36-yard reception. New Orleans slam dunked the ball down the Cowboys' throat, rolling up a 27-6 lead. The attack started by air, but continued on land with number 46, Hokie Gaijan, rambling 62 yards. While Gaijan has resoundingly established himself this season as a force to be reckoned with at fullback, the New Orleans pass defense has quietly risen to number 2 in the league and tormented the Cowboy quarterbacks much of the game. Linebacker Dennis Winston, number 56, rounded out the Saints scoring with his 43-yard interception return, which appeared to put the contest out of reach. But for the Cowboys, appearances can be quite deceiving. Mike Renfro's fourth quarter scoring reception was Dallas's first touchdown of the year by a wide receiver and inaugurated the Cowboy comeback that culminated when New Orleans was laid to rest by the Manster, Randy White, number 54. Jim Jeffcoat's fumble recovery accounted for the tying touchdown and some buoyant spirits from the usually reserved Cowboys. Then in overtime, Dallas was really uplifted when Rafael Septien hit a 41-yard field goal to give the Cowboys a vital 30-27 victory. The Saints had marched into Dallas with upset on their minds and marched out wondering how they squandered a 3-touchdown lead. Occupational hazard when you're playing an opponent from the fierce and frenetic NFC East.